Imagine being a king at the age of 20 and commanding an empire that spanned 3 continents by the time you were 30. This was the astonishing life of Alexander the Great. Born to King Philip II and Queen Olympias of Macedonia in the summer of 356 BC, Alexander was a child of royal descent and ambition. His mother, a fiercely intelligent and shrewd woman, instilled in him a belief in his divine destiny. His father, a formidable warrior king, introduced him to the art of warfare and the thrill of conquest. Indeed, Alexander was not an ordinary child. By the age of 12, he tamed Bucephalus, a horse deemed too wild and uncontrollable by the finest Macedonian horsemen. This early feat symbolized an essential characteristic of Alexander's persona, an unwavering determination that refused to bow to the impossible. As a teenager, he was tutored by none other than Aristotle, the most celebrated philosopher of the time. Under Aristotle's guidance, Alexander was introduced to the great epics, the nuances of politics, and the mysteries of the natural world. It was during these formative years that Alexander developed a deep fascination for the heroic figures of the Iliad, a fascination that would later fuel his own ambitious quest for glory. In 336 BC, the unexpected assassination of King Philip II led to Alexander's ascension to the throne. At the tender age of 20, he was thrust into a world of power and responsibility, becoming the King of Macedonia. However, the young king was not daunted. Instead, he embraced his destiny with the courage and audacity that would become the hallmarks of his reign. Alexander's reign, which would last a mere 13 years, was a whirlwind of relentless conquest, unprecedented expansion, and profound cultural exchange. His military campaigns would stretch from Greece to Egypt and as far east as India, creating one of the largest empires the world had ever seen. But how did this young king rise to such formidable power? Alexander's reign was marked by a relentless thirst for expansion. This young king, barely in his 20s, would set his sights on the most formidable adversary of his time, the Persian Empire, a colossal entity that stretched across continents from Egypt's fertile lands to India's exotic realms. Yet Alexander was undeterred. His ambition, fueled by a desire not just to conquer but to unify and bring about a new world order, was unwavering. His campaign against the Persian Empire was nothing short of extraordinary. Alexander, employing his masterful military strategies, would seize victory after victory. At the Battle of Granicus, he demonstrated his prowess, outmaneuvering the Persian forces with his smaller yet highly disciplined army. It was here that the world got its first glimpse of the tactical genius that was Alexander. Following his victory at Granicus, Alexander would continue his campaign, marching his forces into the heart of the Persian Empire. The Battle of Issus was a decisive moment in his campaign. Facing King Darius III himself, Alexander once again demonstrated his superior tactics and indomitable spirit. His victory at Issus would leave the Persian Empire severely weakened and ready for the taking. These victories were not just about territorial gains. Every city, every region he conquered, Alexander sought to integrate into his empire. He adopted local customs, respected their traditions, and in doing so, began to build an empire that was as culturally diverse as it was vast. By the time of his death in 323 BC, Alexander's empire stretched from Greece in the west to Egypt in the south, and as far east as India. His relentless campaign had reshaped the world, creating one of the largest empires in history. His reign had brought about a new era of cultural exchange and understanding, forever changing the course of history. But Alexander's ambitions did not stop at Persia. The world was his chessboard, and he was far from finished. The true extent of his ambitions, his dreams for his empire, would only become clear as his conquest continued. No force on earth seemed able to halt Alexander's relentless march. As we delve deeper into Alexander's reign, we encounter his invasion of Egypt. It's the year 332 BC, and Alexander's army has swept into the land of the pharaohs like a storm. The Egyptians, weary of Persian rule, welcome him as a liberator. They crown him pharaoh, a title he accepts with grace, adding yet another crown to his growing collection. But Alexander was not content with merely ruling Egypt. He had grander plans. He wanted to build a city that would serve as a beacon of his power and glory. And so, on the northern coast of Egypt, on the shores of the Mediterranean, he founded Alexandria, a city destined to become one of the greatest centers of culture and learning in the ancient world. Alexander's vision for Alexandria was as grand as his ambition. He ordered the construction of a lighthouse, the Pharos, which would become one of the seven wonders of the ancient world. He commissioned a library, the Great Library of Alexandria, which would house the works of the greatest thinkers and scholars of the age. In this city, Greek knowledge and culture would mix with the traditions and wisdom of the East, creating a fusion of ideas that would shape the world for centuries to come. Yet the establishment of Alexandria was more than a testament to Alexander's power. It was a symbol of his desire to unite the diverse cultures and peoples under his rule. He wanted his empire not just to be vast, but also to be a melting pot of cultures, a place where Greek and Eastern traditions could blend and enrich each other. Yet, even as he built cities and conquered nations, Alexander was also transforming the world in other, less visible ways. His influence was not merely territorial or architectural, it was cultural, intellectual, and spiritual. Alexander's reign was not just about conquest, but about the exchange of ideas, the fusion of cultures, and the shaping of a world united under his rule. Alexander's reign was not just about conquest, but also about cultural exchange. The era that followed his reign, known as the Hellenistic period, was marked by a profound cultural fusion that would shape the ancient world. As Alexander's army marched eastward, they carried with them the rich tapestry of Greek culture. In the lands they conquered, they left behind more than just the memory of a formidable military force. They introduced Greek art, philosophy, and science, sowing the seeds of a cultural revolution. In the Persian territories, Greek culture met with the grandeur of the East, sparking an extraordinary exchange of ideas and traditions. Greek theaters sprang up in Babylon. Persian fashion found its way into Greek wardrobes. The Greek language, the tongue of Homer and Plato, became the lingua franca from Egypt to India, bridging people from diverse backgrounds. But it wasn't a one-way street. Alexander himself was known to have adopted Persian customs, even wearing Persian robes. He encouraged his men to marry Persian women, further blending the two cultures. This was a strategic move, yes, but it also reveals a leader who understood the value of cultural integration. The Hellenistic period saw the rise of new cities like Alexandria in Egypt, which became the melting pot of various cultures. Here, Greek, Egyptian, and Persian cultures intermingled, birthing a new and vibrant society. Libraries and academies flourished, attracting scholars from all corners of Alexander's vast empire. In this era of cultural blending, we see the exchange of not just tangible artifacts, but also intangible ideas. Concepts of democracy, philosophy, and aesthetics traversed borders, influencing societies far and wide. This cultural diffusion enriched the world, contributing to the global heritage we all share today. So, as we delve deeper into the reign of Alexander, we uncover a tale not just of military conquest, but also of cultural assimilation and exchange. A tale that reminds us how cultures can evolve, adapt, and influence each other when they intersect. But what happens when a force as unstoppable as Alexander meets an immovable object? In 323 BC, Alexander's unstoppable force met its end. The man who had challenged the world, who had stretched the boundaries of known civilization, was brought to his knees not by an enemy's sword, but by an insidious and invisible adversary: illness. In the sultry heat of Babylon, Alexander the Great, the man of indomitable spirit and boundless ambition, was struck down in his prime. It was sudden, it was unexpected, and it left a void that would echo through the annals of history. The circumstances of his demise are shrouded in mystery and speculation. Some say it was a fever, possibly malaria or typhoid, that gripped him. Others whisper of poison, a silent assassin's tool. But the truth remains elusive, lost in the sands of time. What we do know is that within a span of 12 short days, Alexander's health deteriorated rapidly. His strength ebbed away, his vibrant energy dimmed, and the man who had once stood tall and invincible now lay weak and vulnerable on his deathbed. His generals, his friends, his soldiers all watched helplessly as their king, their leader, the man they had followed across continents and seas, slipped away from them. The invincible conqueror who had never known defeat in battle was defeated by an enemy he could not fight. And so, on a fateful summer day in June, Alexander breathed his last. He was just 32, yet in his short life he had achieved what others could only dream of. He had carved out an empire stretching from Greece to Egypt and as far east as India. fostering a cultural exchange that would resonate for centuries to come. Alexander's death marked the end of his reign, but not the end of his influence. His legacy lived on in the cities he founded, in the cultures he influenced, in the hearts of those he led. His story, his life, his triumphs and his struggles continue to captivate us, reminding us of the indomitable human spirit, of the thirst for knowledge and exploration, and of the complexities and paradoxes that make us human. Alexander the Great left behind a legacy that continues to shape our world. After his untimely death in 323 BC, his vast empire, stretching from Greece to Egypt and far into Asia, was left without a clear successor. This resulted in the partitioning of his empire among his generals known as the Diadochi, or successors. This period, filled with conflict and power struggles, saw the rise of three major Hellenistic kingdoms: the Seleucid Empire, the Ptolemaic Kingdom, and the Antigonid dynasty that would dominate the ancient world for centuries. But the legacy of Alexander was not confined to territorial boundaries. His reign ushered in the Hellenistic period, characterized by a profound cultural exchange that blended Greek and Eastern cultures. The Greek language, arts, and sciences spread far and wide, leaving an indelible mark on the societies they touched. This fusion of cultures created a rich tapestry of intellectual and artistic life, leading to advancements in philosophy, science, and the arts that continue to influence us today. Moreover, the legend of Alexander himself has permeated cultures across the globe. From the Roman generals who sought to emulate his strategic genius, to the medieval tales that depicted him as a mythical hero, and even to modern depictions in film and literature, Alexander's story continues to captivate and inspire. His ambition, military acumen, and vision of a united world have made him an enduring symbol of leadership and conquest. However, it's important to remember that Alexander's reign was also marred by brutality, destruction, and the subjugation of peoples. His pursuit of glory and power came at a high cost, a reminder that even the greatest of achievements can be tainted by the means used to attain them. The reign of Alexander was a time of expansion and cultural exchange, a time that changed the world forever. His legacy, complex and multifaceted, continues to echo through the annals of history, a testament to the profound impact one individual can have on the course of human events. What can we learn from the reign of Alexander the Great? This question invites us to delve deeper into the legacy of a man whose life was as complex as it was extraordinary. Firstly, Alexander's reign teaches us about the power of ambition. He was a man who dreamed big, who believed that he could conquer the world, and in many ways he did. From Macedonia to Egypt, from Persia to India, Alexander's empire stretched across three continents, an achievement that was unprecedented in the annals of history. His ambition was a driving force, propelling him towards greatness. It was a flame that, once kindled, could not be extinguished. But ambition, as potent as it may be, is not enough. To realize his dreams, Alexander had to be a leader capable of inspiring loyalty and dedication in his troops. He led from the front, sharing in the hardships of his men, leading them into battle and standing with them in the face of adversity. His leadership style was not just about giving orders, but about setting an example, about proving that he was as much a part of the team as any of his soldiers. This is a lesson in leadership that can be applied even today. Next, we learn about the power of cultural exchange. Alexander's empire was a melting pot of diverse cultures, traditions, and ideas. He encouraged cultural exchange, believing that it would foster understanding and unity among his subjects. This is evident in his policy of intermarriage between the Macedonians and Persians, his adoption of Persian customs, and the spread of Greek ideas and language throughout his empire. This cultural fusion left a lasting impact, giving rise to the Hellenistic Age, a period marked by a blend of Greek and Eastern cultures. Lastly, we are reminded of the impact that one individual can have on the course of history. Alexander's reign, brief as it was, changed the world in profound ways. His conquests reshaped the geopolitical landscape, his policies influenced the development of cultures, and his life story continues to captivate the imagination of people all over the world. His impact was such that, even 2 millennia after his death, we still talk about him, study him, and learn from him. But perhaps the most important lesson we can glean from Alexander's life is that, despite our achievements, we are all human. Alexander was a great conqueror, a brilliant strategist, and a charismatic leader. But he was also flawed, prone to fits of rage, excess, and perhaps even hubris. His story reminds us that even the greatest among us are not immune to the frailties of human nature. In the end, Alexander's story is a reminder of the incredible power of human ambition and the profound ways in which one life can shape the course of history.